It's Thursday, it's 4 o'clock, and you're watching Chelsea and Tony live. What are we going to be talking about today, Tony?
We are doing food photography, so send your photos in at sdp.io/submit. We'll take a look at them live, give you critique, feedback, something to improve your photos, hopefully.
You're also going to be giving them a Tony Northrup take on the new rumored Canon 75 megapixel camera.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the announcement that Sony has surpassed both Canon and Nikon to be the #1 full-frame camera manufacturer and the #2 camera manufacturer overall. Kind of a big deal.
That's a big deal.
We'll talk about that data.
Next week, our show theme is going to be your best shot of 2019. This is going to be a great exercise for you. So start going through all of your photos from 2019, pick your favorite, submit it to the show, and we'll be doing that next week. That's one of my favorite shows to do the whole year.
Yeah, as you mature as a photographer, you would typically add about 1 photo per year to your portfolio. So it's really good to go through your portfolio, everything you shot, and find that 1 photo that's going to go in your portfolio. And
speaking of portfolio, this episode is brought to you by Squarespace, where you can get a portfolio for free for 14 days, no credit card needed. And you can go to squarespace.com/Chelsea and use the coupon code Chelsea to get 10% off.
Let's say hi to Chris Moiré. Ready?
Yeah, I did that. I did that on purpose. That's my moiré.
All right, I love it.
How are you, Chris?
Very good, very good.
Good. So Chris will be here going through your questions and comments and relaying them to us. So talk to him. Be kind. We also have Justin here. He's manning the battle station.
I'm here. Yep.
He's here.
Justin. When you transition to the sponsored plug, Chris did like a smooth motion because it was a nice transfer.
I'm like
nice
getting
segue.
Scary good at the segue.
Before we do the news.
Before we do the news and everything, all of you know we've been signing things like crazy. This is a great time of year for us. We get to introduce so many of you to our books and our videos, and we just spent the year updating our how-to photography book called Stunning Digital Photography, now with 20 hours of video. We added a sports chapter. If you order it through our store at northrup.photo, you'll get 35% off. So it's a really good deal right now. And
our store is the only place to get the new version. If you get it from Amazon, they still have stock of the old version. So I don't know when they're going to run out, but right now you'd be getting the old version of the book. Yeah. So make sure you get it from northrup.photo and use coupon code BF2019 for 35% off everything. If you get that in a bundle, like the Book Lover bundle, you'll be able to stack discounts.
Here we go. I'm going to actually show our book on the screen while we talk about it, not something else. The ebook is $6.50 right now.
With the discount, yeah.
With the discount from our store, and you get 20 hours of video with that and free updates for life. So I don't really understand. What are we waiting for here, guys? Let's do this. And then we also have the Art and Science of Photography, which I brought the wrong video case down. Oops. And I'm really excited about this one. This is a longer format. If you like our tutorials on YouTube, you'll like this. We go out in the field. We go more in depth. We have a cool video on perspective, and that's 35% off. And you can either just download it or get the hard copy with the SD card. You can use that.
And if you're in doubt, we have a money-back guarantee, so you can buy it. If you don't like it, we'll just give you your money back.
Those links will be in the description. Are they in the description? I guess someone should check that.
Yeah, I'll throw them in there.
Okay, so let's talk about the news here while you're all submitting your food photos. Yeah. Tony, with the discount from our store. I'm hearing myself.
I'm getting feedback.
Take it away, Tony.
Canon Rumors has leaked information about the new Canon EOS RS, which I think we expect in fairly early in 2020. It is rumored to have 75 megapixels, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. They say that the sensor will be focused on dynamic range, which makes me think Canon is trying to design a camera for probably landscape and studio photographers, something that could really fight against medium format. They say the frames per second will be similar to the EOS R, and in practice, I think we get like 4 usable frames per second out of the EOS R. The body is supposed to be similar to the EOS R, which means it will have a flippy screen, but they'll put in dual card slots. Yay. Intelligently, they will get rid of the touch bar, which is a total waste on the EOS R.
They tried to do something cool. I respect that.
I appreciate their effort, but I turned it off, and it still annoys me because if you disable it and then you touch it, it pops up like a little modal dialogue that says to turn this on. Like, no, I don't ever want to use that. The EVF will be higher resolution, so pictures should be clearer, and it will be nice and weather sealed. So I am so excited about this because have actually bought several Canon lenses because we use it for filming. And those Canon lenses, the EOS R lenses, excellent. Are so good and so sharp.
All of our non-studio videos are shot on Canon. So
yeah. The people will say 75 megapixels is too much, but that is a lower pixel density than Canon has in their new APS-C cameras. If you were to use the same density of pixels as they have in, for example, the EOS M6 Mark II, it would be an 83 megapixel sensor. And so it's totally tangible that they could be doing a 75 megapixel sensor. Unless one way you can determine whether something is feasible, a rumor is feasible, is just to ask yourself if they would. The A7R Mark IV by Sony is a 60 megapixel camera, but it's doing really well, at least on Amazon, about the only ranking we can see. It's selling great at $3,500. So I would think Canon would want to compete against that. Canon has always wanted to be the high megapixel king. They were for the longest time with the 5DSR being 50 megapixels, and only with the release of the A7R IV are they no longer king, at least a full frame. All the EOS R lenses pretty much are very high-end, expensive, and sharp, and yet all their bodies are very consumer-oriented, low-end. So that's weird. They need a pro body for those pro lenses, and I don't think they can make a sports body now like a 1DX because their focusing isn't there. So for them to make a high-resolution studio camera, I think makes perfect sense. I totally believe this rumor, and I'm looking forward to it. We're already disappointed about some things. They didn't mention an improved autofocus system, and Canon seems to be really struggling with that for stills at least. Their video autofocus, the best in the world. Stills autofocus, a little bit frustrating in my experience. And still no mention of sensor stabilization, which that camera would desperately need. Like I would just hold on to it until they get the sensor stabilization ready.
Yeah, that could be tough. We'll see though.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's real yet. So it's a first step, and then we'll see what their official specs are if it is real.
The other big news piece this week is there's more data about the race between Canon, Nikon, and Sony. And this comes to us from BCN, and it was translated by Sony Alpha Rumor, so check out that site. You can see this is showing, it's very confusing, but overall these are the changes in sales from for the previous year. And you can see Canon and Nikon, their sales are basically dropping, while Sony has continued to increase some in these segments, not counting like compact cameras. If you look at camera sales overall, everybody's on the decline, but Nikon and Canon are falling faster than Sony. So Sony is declining slower than the others and thus has overtaken Nikon overall.
I don't like this chart. This is a sad little chart.
It looks much better when you just show one beating the other and not just one dying slower than the others,
we could
right?
Turn it to the right a couple times.
And if you look at the full frame market share, including both DSLR and mirrorless cameras, you can see now Sony, according to BCN, is number one with 38% of the market, Canon with 36%, and Nikon with 24%. The little purple line up here, I guess that would be Pentax and Panasonic's full frame cameras. So like just no market share for them, basically. But Sony is stealing market share from Canon, but mostly from Nikon. You can see Nikon dropped 5.1%, whereas Canon dropped only 1.8%. So the Z mount not really having much success, and the fact that Nikon hasn't updated any of the DSLR bodies seems to really be hurting their overall market now. The BCN data is gathered by polling stores in Japan, camera stores. So it's not worldwide. But I will say, spot checking the few points of data we have in the US, it seems to be consistent. Like, for example, if you look at Amazon sales rankings, you'll see Sony and Canon.
How do you track the Amazon sales rankings? Because there can be multiple listings for the same item.
It is really frustrating and complex. It just happens to be, usually what I will do is I will look at all of the different items, and it's not perfect. But when you see no Nikon cameras ranked and you see a bunch of the others, it gives you some indication, some validation that it's not completely off base, you know?
Okay.
Let's take a look at people's food pictures. We'll just dig right in. This is tough because we're not critiquing the food. We're critiquing the picture of the food.
I think this would be good for like a website if you're selling your cakes and you just very clearly and accurately want to show what it looks like?
I think there's some room for improvement here. For one, I agree that the dress should probably be white. We need some subject separation. The top of the cake there, the body is very dark and it's against a dark background. You have some good highlights in that, but what I would love to see is a tiny little spotlight thrown against the background just to create a little spotlight here and to help to separate it. Also, we've lost almost all the form of this dress. Now I can see a little bit of shadow there, but because it seems to be mostly front top lit, the entire dress is very two-dimensional. If you were to side light it, we would really get a sense for that three-dimensional form. So think about the direction of the light.
Okay. I think this is more about like the person than the food, but that's definitely an impressive cake.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, you just missed the mark. Maybe that was a mistake. Okay, this is some kind of cheesy cornbread with bacon.
My God, that looks good.
That
is like exactly the type of thing I like to eat.
Yeah, it looks really delicious. I like that you've captured the texture, the crumb of the bread. It looks nice. I might like a background to it or something, but it still looks very good.
Yeah, compositionally, there are some simple things you can do to improve it. Check the edges of the frame. You can see along the left and right here, like here it's almost touching and here it is touching. And then we have a little space up here and more space down here. In the new version of Stunning Digital Photography, there's a new video for belts. And the E in belt stands for edges. And it's there to remind you to check the edges of the frame. So if you were to run that through in your head, you would have nailed that photo.
Tony, don't give away the info. These are secrets, okay, man?
There's 4 other letters.
This is a beautiful roasted chicken. I love that it's in a bed of stuffing and you're kind of propping it up and keeping this chicken's shape. That part of the photo is very good. I think that you could add to this by doing some food styling. So maybe some fresh carrots around, something just to add some color and some texture so that it's not just completely blank and white. But maybe this is just on a plate. Yeah. Okay, it's just, maybe it's a Cornish hen or something.
It's a plate on a white tablecloth, but I think I'd like to see a little bit of the environment and maybe a little depth to the plate.
Yeah, maybe I would.
It's almost floating, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of has a floating effect. And so, this isn't the right exposure for the bird, obviously, but I like to see these edges of the plate just to give me a little more context.
Yeah, if you're taking a product photo for Amazon, you nailed it. But if you're trying to make the food look appealing, maybe a little more context would help.
I'd be so happy if I could buy that on Amazon. Okay, these look like glass candies, so that's interesting. But that's not food. This looks like a very beautiful garlic knot. One thing about food photography, much like portraits actually, is that humans naturally learn how to discern what makes food look good or bad, and color is very important with food photography. So right here, things are looking a little dark and maybe a little off, but if you brighten it up and warm it up, it actually makes the food itself look warm.
Yeah.
And then I like your depth of field. I like that I can see the texture. I would just maybe add to it again by doing some food styling. But yeah.
I'll say, since you took it with a smartphone, the white plate tricked your camera into underexposing the picture because it saw the whole scene and was like, oh, it's pretty bright. You can tap the screen and then generally adjust the exposure compensation on almost any smartphone. Not enough people know that. Just 1 tap or 2 taps and then make it brighter or darker until it looks good to your eye.
That was a bad crop. I apologize, but I'm moving on. Is this a single cake? Makes me happy.
Yeah. This is beautiful.
This is a beautiful cake.
I'm struggling to come up with some kind of suggestion. I guess I see a little bit of the environment, but not enough to really know what's going on. Maybe just fill the frame more with the cake because there's so much in the frame that's not the cake.
Yeah,
It doesn't add much to the picture.
Yeah, I think you got so much of this right. And we might just crop out that empty chair because right now it looks like you're going to eat this lovely cake alone, and there's something almost a little sad about that. And then it's a much more simple story like this.
I would prefer to eat that cake alone. Like, back off my cake.
Yeah, I know you would, people. Tony. You think I don't know? I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Okay, let's keep going. Here's some people enjoying a lovely dinner. Again, I feel like they're taking up a really big part of the frame. There's a tire in the background, really cluttered chairs. And so you could get rid of those distractions by controlling your background and moving around or moving up at a higher angle. I don't know if you know these people. They might not like that. But this is more like street photography to me. With delicious food happens to be there. This is some of the styling that I was talking about. You have a nice tablecloth. I can see that you're outside. I feel like I want to go here and have breakfast. 5 points. You make sure that the name is showing on the mug. The inn at 5 points. There's fresh fruit there as well. It adds color to the scene. It looks nice. I think the only thing that I would change is that I think I'd add some light, a nice big light to fill in all of the shadows so that the food looks even brighter and lighter and more evenly lit. What do you think, Tony?
I think this could totally go on their website.
Oh, totally.
I totally think the inn at 5 points would pay for that. Nice work.
I think they did. Who would stand up from this meal and walk away to take a picture?
Yeah, you make a good point. Now, let's look at this picture and then look at this picture. The two are very similar. They're both photos taken at set tables. But this one, it doesn't feel quite as nice to me. And I think part of it is we have all this kind of clutter in the background. We have these upside down glasses, like the table's not quite ready for people yet.
There's a lens cap.
Yeah.
There's a lens cap in the frame. So really think about any distractions that you have in the frame.
Yeah, and you can do a little bit of cropping, but the thing is, it's the background here. See, this glass is overlapping with the food, so your eyes naturally brought there. But I like that you have like good lighting. You show good texture. There's some depth to the photo, so you're not getting that weird like slither of focus thing. You can't really see what the food is. That's good. Just work on your background. Frozen fruit. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, this is just, I'm going to give this one a pick. Is there something about it?
It's beautiful.
It's pretty. I wanted to raise the white point a little bit too. It was a little underexposed. I
think I would just kind of work with the colors a little bit. So I made it a little bit more blue. And then, you're setting a whole mood. Now the whole thing looks like cool. That's a stylistic choice. Okay. This is really beautiful. The background is simple. The food is all in focus so that I know what it is. You have it cut open so I can see what's inside. It's a meat. I love the natural tones. So the food itself has like this rustic, imperfect look. And I love that the styling matches that. You have like natural brown looking, what is that? A placemat, a wood table, a wood plate. And then you have like sauces in the background. You're telling a whole story. And I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a pick. Though I would play with the arrangement of those two background objects. Like, think of it as a still life. Think of it as a compositional study. And where do they balance the rest of the photo the best? Maybe there was a better arrangement.
I just slightly warmed it because it's looking a little dark and cool. But other than that, I think it's really good.
Can I also say, like, the Instagram's the #1 place to put your food pictures, right?
Yes.
And yet I don't think we've seen any vertical pictures yet. Definitely think about the aspect ratio and compose your scene around that. Instagram should be 8x10 vertical for most people.
Maybe that's not necessarily true. Like, this seems like a professional food photographer, and so it might be for a website.
Yeah, if they're doing it for a website, you go for it. But I just wanted to bring that up to the audience in general. If you're taking food photos for Instagram, like, think vertically. It will drastically change your composition. This shot did not work vertically.
Oops, sorry. Now you got me thinking about crops, but I would just keep like some of the sauce in there too if you had to. Okay. Man, I ate before the show so it wouldn't make me hungry, but gotta say, not working. All this food looks really good.
Yeah.
So these are some enchiladas, and so you've cut off the front of the food, but left in some kind of very distracting placemat. The food itself looks really good. I love the texture that you show in the sauce. The onions are arranged in an aesthetically pleasing way. Your depth of field seems pretty good. But I think you just need to crop it differently.
It's a weird crop too, right? What is? Yeah. Because it's wider than 16:9, so I don't know. It's like a cinematic aspect ratio.
I'm gonna take over because enchiladas are actually in my wheelhouse. That might be something you didn't realize about me. And I would just like crop right in and make that a banner or my profile picture. Okay. Spicy Burger by Jeff Wingo. Jeff, this is really good food styling. I get the idea that this is one of those places where, you know, it's a more casual dining experience, but the food is really good. The burger is opened up. The sauce is arranged really well. I can see all of the ingredients. They look attractive. The background is not cluttered. One thing, the light is kind of a funny color. So maybe I'd have a little more light. And I might style what's in that bowl a little bit more.
That went way too blue. Yeah, and again, think about the background a little bit, but this is a good shot.
That went really blue.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that was the right auto white balance.
Well, sometimes auto things are not so smart.
Be careful when you bite into that, because that yolk's going to explode all over your shirt. I mean, I'm having flashbacks as well.
You break it first. That's the strategy. In other countries, they always call that an American burger, but I rarely see an egg on a burger here. Yeah. Just wanted to bring that up for the internationals. Okay, this is basically what it's like whenever you let any kid cook in your kitchen. So that's realistic.
Oh, they promise they'll clean up too.
Can confirm.
I'm going to give you a pick for this one, Jason. I really like this shot.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh,
all right. Okay. Blue straw martini. I'm going to level it. Can't believe I beat Tony to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, oh gosh, do we need all of the reflection?
Yeah, I think it's too much.
Did I even level it? Sometimes it's hard to see. I'm sitting at a funny angle. I can't even tell.
It kind of looked like the top was level, but the bottom was a little not or something.
I'm truly confused. Maybe we don't need all the reflection. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's detracting from the photo, unless, you know, it's part of...
Can you level this, please? I think I think I need to get something checked.
Okay.
What is...
Lightroom thinks that's level. I can see that.
I don't think the surface that the glass is on is level because it's different than the glass itself. The liquid is actually tilted.
The liquid's on an angle.
That's like I'm actually it's hurting me. So the liquid is level. So level it to the liquid.
You gotta pick, Ricky.
Sorry, Ricky. I really went on a tangent there. Fresh caught crab. Okay. Maybe you took this picture prematurely for this topic. A few more steps to get that guy on our show. Food Truck by Peter Arquette.
I can't see any of the food.
I see this.
Like, it is a picture of a food truck. But,
excuse me.
I think I would want to get a little closer.
Okay. I like the culture, the food truck culture here. Clam chowder at Sorensen's Resort by Keith. Again, you got the mug in there. It looks, there's something like cold about it. Like you need a garnish, you know?
Yeah, it needs some of those little oyster crackers. And think about, we have like the fork and spoon projecting in from the side. We have the bottom of the spoon to the left of the bowl. We have like a pat of butter or something off to the left of the bowl. So just think about all those distractions. Treat it like a still life. A cup is coming in from the top. Check the edges of the frame.
Yeah, I might actually put this handle away. I understand. I can tell this was your lunch. It looks delicious. Just a few more elements to kind of balance the picture.
Yeah, we're just here giving some... Oh, okay. Sorry, we got zoomed in. That must have been incredibly frustrating.
I feel foolish, Keith.
I hate when that happens. It doesn't give you a clear indicator that the photo's being
You'd
cropped.
think we'd learn. Okay. Kind of same stuff. The background's a little cluttered.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that soup. for a Lotus Eater. Well,
People
you know what,
eat that,
Miguel?
though.
I feel like you guys are pushing it here. Oh, just for fun. Oh, it's magic. Do you like that, Tony? We're gonna move. It's not. Wait, what? It's not totally in focus, but I like that you went macro with the food challenge. Wow.
There's something right away that's beautiful about this, right? There's something like we just know.
It's the composition, right?
Yeah, and I think the lighting and maybe the color.
The lighting, the color's warm, like I was talking about. Let's mess this up so we can show you what could have happened. If it's too cold, the food looks cold.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. With food, color is very important.
I just wish it were composed up a little bit more. It feels very crowded at the bottom. That's like my one critique. I think it looks great.
Wow, we're all getting burgers tonight, I can tell. Tim, this is so interesting. You backlit in orange and it looks very cool. And it's not like I want to eat it or anything, but I like what you did. All right, let's see if we have to zoom out on this one. We don't. This is a chocolate chip cookie like you've never seen before. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's so abstract. I didn't even recognize it as food.
These are some
Bruce
chocolates.
went really intense with the shadows here. Like those are some deep shadows. I'm not even sure. Was the light really close to the chocolate? Like, why is the fall off so steep?
Interesting. They're colorful. They're beautiful chocolates. I definitely think it's an interesting shot.
I think the lighting isn't working here because the box is so deep that they're just like covered in shadow.
Some of them are good.
Yeah.
It shows the texture. Let's see. Party time. Indeed.
Again,
Couple
I think
meat.
this would work commercially for the website. I think it represents the restaurant really good. I think everything looks good.
Aw,
That's
this is a cute portrait, but less about the watermelon than the adorable child. Chris, do you have any questions or comments from the peeps at home? Oh, no, Chris, I can't hear you. Oh, no.
Good.
There we are.
Now I hear you. Wait, are you there?
Hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How important is it to calibrate your editing monitor especially when you're talking about food? And is there an inexpensive way to do it without buying one of those calibrators?
Yeah, both Windows and Mac OS have calibration tools built in for free that you can just kind of sort of calibrate to your eye. How important is it? I think if you have one monitor, it is not very important at all. The thing is, in my personal experience, your eyes, your brain sort of automatically adjust to monitors that are out of calibration. So it doesn't really much matter. But if you have two monitors, it's very important that they be calibrated together, because if they're a little bit different, then you will start to see it. Then it will start to throw you off because you're looking at two monitors and your brain will kind of calibrate to one and then you'll switch to the other and it'll look weird.
You have to consider your calibration for how other people will view your photos. If like your calibration is off, then you're editing your pictures really funky, then it could look weird to other people.
Well, but I don't find that, because I've used monitors that were uncalibrated, and that's what I'm saying is it can, like, if whites are actually coming out a little bit green, your brain automatically adjusts to that. Just like if you're under regular incandescent lights, they're actually yellow, but the world doesn't look yellow to you. Your brain like adjusts.
So you don't see it translate differently?
That's what I'm saying is I actually don't think it's that big of a deal with one monitor. And I know calibration snobs out there are freaking out, but that's been my experience, my real world experience. As soon as you have multiple monitors, they need to match or you will screw yourself up. I've had that happen. I always use multiple monitors. But I think one screen can be okay.
I always do my color checks on my phone because I know so many people are using their phone anyway.
And especially the iPhones have like the best.
They have really good
screens.
Color. Yeah.
The MacBooks do too. Anyway, check out the free calibration tools built into Windows and Mac OS. What else do you have, Chris?
The biggest problem I've seen with calibration is on non-Mac laptops, because the monitors just are not made to display colors right. So those are worth calibrating or plugging in an external monitor. But yeah, and having two monitors of the same brand and same model is also helpful so that they can get a lot closer to each other.
Yeah, I have two monitors, same brand, same model, and they are not in sync.
Yeah, what is
Unless
up with
I
that?
run an app to synchronize them. They're like way off for some reason. It's frustrating.
What else do you have, Chris?
Yeah. Well, we've got a question here from Brent Schumer. Well, he wants to know what happened to the Dogfish Head IPAs.
We
Well, it's
started
4
filming
o'clock.
at 4
The
instead of 5.
Yeah, the show's a little earlier now, and so
It's I don't know why. Mentally, like 4 o'clock is way too early to have a beer. 5 o'clock is like, yeah, it's 5 o'clock. Have a beer.
I think because then we'd get off the show and then we'd go right to dinner,
Yeah.
and it just seemed like it was all coming together. But now we usually do stuff after the show, so party's over.
Let's take a look at a few more pictures, and then we'll look at a portfolio, and then we'll look at more pictures. This is from Yumi Feldo, and this is the first top-down, maybe not the first, but this is the best top-down photo we've seen. I think it's beautifully done, right?
Yeah, I love the colors that are monochrome so as not to distract from the very simple food. If I had to nitpick, I would say to iron the napkin because everything looks really perfect, especially the chopsticks are so nice and straight. The presentation is really perfect, so I saw those wrinkles right away. But it's still really good.
You could use this as a compositional study. Like break this down into just simple shapes, like a white circle here, a gray circle here, 2 lines, another circle here. And if it was an abstract painting with just those shapes, I think it would be good. And that makes sense. And that's kind of how you want to compose things. Do watch out for this. Like, see how it's barely clipped? Like either go in further or make sure it doesn't clip, but just check the edges of your frame.
Pineapple.
I like this sort of cropping into it. We see plenty of it. It lets us see a little bit more of the detail.
Yeah, I would
You could probably even crop it even a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, maybe play with the colors a little. All right, let's zoom out here and go back to the library and see if we can find some standout food pictures. This one looks well styled. I'd say the depth of field is maybe a little too thin. Let's see here. F2.2 at D8, 10, 50 millimeters. I think you could go more than that, Peter, because look, the lemon slice in the front is really out of focus. Yeah. And then the oranges are very out of focus. You can tell what they are, but excuse me, it's very extreme. So maybe I'd just make it a little deeper, show a little more texture of these cookies. But
it never hurts to just have it an aperture priority and just roll your finger on that aperture, like f2.2, f5.6, f11, and then later you can pick one. Because on the back screen, it won't look as blurry as it actually is because the screen's so small.
What is this?
Spaghetti? Ragu?
Yeah, but what is that? It looks like a spray paint can.
Well, that is kind of a problem. Like, we don't know what it is. Maybe it's a candle of some kind. I don't know.
Sorry, now I'm being...
But this is an excellent illustration of what happens when somebody sees a distraction in your photo. Like, that's all Chelsea can think about. She's got to figure this out. She's missing the entire point of your photo. And it might not be distracting to you because maybe you know what it is. Maybe it makes perfect sense, but we don't. We don't know what that is.
I think you did so many things right. You know what I love is that you took the time to think of a composition and you set up a little studio and you did a lot of things right. What concerns me is that the side lighting actually makes your spaghetti look menacing. There's like deep shadows and then everything's very black and stark. So it's kind of like spooky spaghetti, but it's very clean. So if I cropped out those kind of unknown objects, I think that's even, maybe it's too close. I don't know. I think it's a good effort. Just some small things that were bothering me. Is this zoomed?
This is gorgeous.
What's that? What is this?
I'm going to give it a pick. I don't know. Is it like gnocchi? I don't know. Is it seafood?
Wonderful.
I don't know. It's beautifully arranged.
Yeah, really beautiful food styling.
This could be an art print.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I'm going to give you a pick. I like that the composition, you kind of cut off the plate. It's not just centered. It's a little off balance. Really beautiful colors. I usually like things on a white plate, but I think the blue plate worked really well there.
Oh, I thought this was mochi. It's like it's eggs.
You love eggs.
I do. I like mochi more. Okay, I think I want to look at a portfolio and then.
But look at how they styled this one.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I've never wanted a beverage more.
I have done the same thing when I've styled coffee, in that I scatter beans around because you want to really make it clear like this is coffee. But at the same time, if you were making coffee and you left that many beans on the table, like you're doing something seriously wrong. Why are there beans everywhere?
I like this one a lot. I would just crop up that one little part.
Yeah. They kind of do the same thing with the jelly beans, helping to tell the whole story. I would want to. No, the straw is too close to the left.
I agree with
we
you.
need to crop in some from the top.
Hey, I agree. Let's get out of here. Okay. Wow. I forgot about the food theme. We haven't had one in a long time. This is good. This is a great way to practice composition and color contrast. Really very challenging, and you all are doing a very good job. Okay. Chris, do you have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, got a couple of good ones here. First of all, what are the easiest foods to practice photography with that don't need a lot of messing around?
Geesh, that's a good question. It's not that easy. I've even bought store-bought things because, if you aren't a professional baker, it can be difficult to make things look good. Everything has to look perfect. So maybe I try with something store-bought and then try to make it look homemade by changing, the container that it's in. If you do like a pie, like put the fresh fruit around it, maybe do a beautiful wood cutting board or something. It's really about the composition, the light, the styling. And I think you could probably buy some store-bought food so that you don't have to cook or be a food stylist.
And generally speaking, is it easier or better to do any kind of food photography with a wide-angle lens, or do you use like a mild telephoto or a macro lens?
I haven't seen stuff that wide angle and close. I think you'd want to control the background better. So I think that would be a stylistic choice. But everything I see is a little more telephoto so that you're getting things a little more compressed. And that's been the general theme and trend that I've seen.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, we have 4 Squarespace portfolios to choose from.
Look what they did to that baby.
Which of these do you like? I like this one a lot. Fabian Santiago. This one's really nice too. And it looks like a professional site.
I think we reviewed this.
Yeah, this one looks familiar to me, right? Yeah. Okay.
I think they improved it. Scroll
they're
through.
Resubmitting.
I think they're possibly resubmitting.
I don't remember what it was like before, but that layout looks great.
It looked good. Okay, let's go to this one. Because...
This one?
Yeah, because I think we need to talk to them a little bit. You have a lot of designy things going on that are distracting me right away. So you can see what I'm looking at here in my view is Pixel. I like that it has some colors. I think that you have a very recognizable logo. I think it's kind of stealing the show a little bit here. And I can't see a picture. There's no picture above the fold. There's only half of one. So right away I have to scroll to get drawn in. What's wrong?
I was trying to make it full screen. Yeah, and the first picture is a big graphic that says packages from $50. So prices, portraits, landscape, street and automotive, contact information, niches. This should be a menu. So if we go here, you can see there's a menu. It should be laid out like that. That's the thing about user interfaces on the web is humans bounce from one site to another. We need them to all be laid out basically the same so we don't have to learn how to use your site. So follow common menu conventions and people pick up on your site much faster.
Have you ever clicked on an article that's like, oh, funniest things kids said, and then you go to scroll through and you can't figure out where stuff is, so you just click out because you're like, I don't care. There's a whole internet. I don't need to spend an extra second. That's how people will respond to this. That's why we're like kind of harsh about this kind of stuff.
No, the first link says portfolio and pricing, and I clicked it and it took me back to the same page. And then I clicked the logo and it took me back to the same page. And then it says tap galleries to navigate, and then it's got your phone number, but it's premature. I'm not going to call you right away.
Okay.
And capitalize your name.
Okay, so I think it'd be really nice if you had your logo and then just the menus at the top, and they were all clickable and went to a separate page. So you could have portfolio as one, pricing as another one, about, and I would try to keep all of the design similar, clean, and simple. So Pixel, all of these fonts are different. So Pixel is different from portfolio and pricing, which is different from tap galleries, which is different from your contact, which is different from packages from 50 pounds and up. So try to keep all of that more similar. Just one font for up there and try to keep it in the same font family. With Squarespace, it's really easy. I find that the more you change the things that their designers do, the worse it looks. And you can make yourself stand out by just changing some colors. You have your own photos. Those will speak for themselves. So you don't have to over-design or change too much. Just kind of keep it simple with the design. Let the professionals at Squarespace do that. And you focus on just keeping your website simple, easy to navigate, and put your best photos forward. What are you discovering here, Tony?
I was looking at the pricing page, and it's too many words and a lot of lists. So I would try my best to simplify this as much as possible and maybe just splash in some photos to make it just visually more interesting to peruse. I don't know what TNCs are. Do you? Is that, maybe that's just common in the UK? Oh, okay. So if we want to see, let's look at portraits. Let's look at actual pictures. Okay.
Okay.
I think the first picture is out of focus.
Okay.
That is cute.
Cute.
That's some solid portfolios here, or photos.
Okay. So your first picture, it's actually nice. It's a bit candid. I might start with your family photo. I also like this photo. Looks very posed and deliberate. And I might try choosing a different layout so I can see the photo all at once. I don't have to scroll to look at it. But yeah, let's go back and see what else they have. Uh-oh, let me click this. Okay. Let's do street and automotive.
Yeah, I like cars. It's a weird combination, cars and sort of like architectural photography. Because when I think of street photography, I think of people in the street. But really, these are architecture photos.
I think it can be difficult when you're starting out as a photographer because you take pictures of everything. Everything is really exciting. Maybe you haven't found your niche yet, so you're taking pictures of cities, families, cars, like you're all over the place. So this is one reason that a portfolio is really good. You're seeing that you're shooting everything, and maybe that's a sign to see, like, what photos are you the most proud of? What would you like to see more of? Your family pictures, or are you really into cars? And maybe just work on one topic so that you can get your portfolio looking really good.
So they want to be professional. So I'm going to suggest make the menu changes that we suggested, but also narrow your portfolio down to those services people would want to buy. So I would probably say portraits, architecture, and then if you want to do cars, you can do that, whatever you're passionate about. But like, people wouldn't hire you to do landscape photos. So you might just cut that part of your portfolio or put it under a personal project submenu.
Yeah.
That was a good choice, Chelsea, because we had some good constructive feedback, and I think it's stuff that other people can learn from. Let's see what they had to say about Squarespace. This is Lewis. I also didn't see his name on there. Simply the best.
Oh, yeah.
Just want to get rid of that bit that says menu at top, as my site is optimized to be as clean and simple as possible. Only complaint low. Don't think Squarespace themselves know how to get rid of it.
Oh, so
The
it's
bit that says menu at the top.
so if you go to his main, click that so you can see his main site. Tap galleries to navigate. Is that what you mean?
I don't see where it says menu at the top. What I would do is I would go back and I would just reset and pick a different template. Like, you can see these are examples of some of the templates that you can choose from, and it will really quickly get your site in order if you've optimized the pages properly. And if you struggle with it at all, the Squarespace support team will help get you going.
I'd like to see you give that another crack and send it to us again, because Often we have people send us the update and they improve so much, and I love to see that. We usually only do one, but just to go through, you can see this person has dedicated all of their photography to food photography. It's laid out in a very clean and simple way. If you go to the top, all of this text is the same. They have their logo, which is memorable, but it's not, dominating the page. And so...
And all their categories are very professional too. Like these are services that people want to buy.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
If you want your own Squarespace portfolio, hopefully we've convinced you to show off your pictures. Go to squarespace.com/Chelsea. That'll get you a 14-day free trial. Make your pictures look great. If you love it, use the coupon code Chelsea and you can get 10% off. Let's take a look at some more food photos.
I have to finish my mom's. I need to go take pictures of her paintings. Yeah. Okay, mince pie and cream. That looks so good. The color's a little funky.
Yeah, but I love that the cream is actively pouring on and kind of spilling out. The plate is a little distracting, though. Like clearly, it adds a little bit of like Christmas time context.
Yeah. And you made me hungry. Ooh.
Oh, that's really
so
well laid out.
This is really good food styling. I like that I can see the texture of the flan. Maybe a little more depth of field would be nice just to get this glassy top, but you put strawberries in. It's decoratively arranged. The color contrast is really beautiful. Very well done.
Yeah. Depth of field is for hiding distractions when you can't otherwise hide them. There is no distractions in that picture, so crank it up to F11.
It can be a stylistic choice as well.
Yeah, that's true.
You just don't want it to hinder your photo. Look at this one as an example of food styling. There's no food here that you have to be an expert to make, right? I mean, you could probably get, what is this, tabbouleh or some kind of pesto. You could get that from the store. It's all about the styling. And look at all of the different techniques Laura has employed. She's got the rule of threes. She has these 3 beautiful matching wooden spoons. So right there, she's using a compositional element. It's balanced. She's got good color contrast. So she has greens and a little bit of pink and yellow. Everything looks really fresh. I think she did an excellent job.
Yeah, and the edges of the frame, there's nothing kind of peeking in. Like these are deliberately cut off. This bowl is deliberately cut off. I'm going back and giving you a pick, Laura. Really nice shot. We're running out of time, so let's skip forward a little bit. See what really catches our eye. Okay.
Wow, how you
Emmanuel
dropped the cilantro?
Got an action shot.
So cool, Emmanuel, how you put the cilantro in there. I'm going to warm up these tortillas, man. You don't want a cold-looking tortilla. There we go. Let's see. That looks good. That foam, the styrofoam cup of, what are those, beans or something?
Yeah.
Maybe you were at a restaurant and you could not change this. I would put that in a nicer bowl.
But this would totally work for the website. I'm giving it a pick. And I want to see, you want more light because you had to shoot it at ISO 2500. I think you could be shooting at f11 to get a little more depth of field, but I wouldn't want you to have to raise your ISO.
Wow, this is such a good exercise. Now I want to take a food photo. What is this beautiful situation? What the heck?
This shot is really gorgeous. I definitely want to crop off some of the bottom though, right?
I don't know. I kind of like it. I think it almost
like that
balances the
negative space?
teapot. Yeah. Look at this. Just one single cherry, but you put, beautiful water droplets on it. The color contrast is incredible. The red with the blue background, you have a reflection. So you took a very simple food and you worked with that. And maybe actually going back to that question where that person asked the perfect food to start with, maybe just start really simple. One piece of fruit like this person did. Keep it simple.
Awesome shot.
Our dog is
That's our
digging. She likes to do that. Are these tater tots? Get your own taters. I want to.
Wow.
I just want to now. Okay. What catches your eye, Tone? This fruitcake.
Oh, what about the strawberries in that?
Okay.
Oh.
I thought that was going to be cookies and milk for Santa.
That
What-
needed more depth of field.
This one?
260, yeah.
That's beautiful. Really beautiful.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Great use of depth of field there. I'm giving that one a pick.
Look at the food styling here.
Gorgeous. That one gets a
Really
pick too.
beautiful.
Except those leaves poking in from the side.
Well,
I need to
this-
see more or less of it.
I don't want to see this fake thing there, actually. Hold on. Like, right away, the fake green stood out at me. That could be because I'm a plant weirdo. But everything else is so colorful and beautiful and real. We don't need that plant. I think everyone did a really good job. Look at this fruitcake. I think fruitcake gets a bad rap, guys. It's fine.
I think it's gets the rap it's deserved.
This one just needs, like, see, I know this is supposed to be a white plate, but it doesn't look white.
Yeah, I guess the color could be better, but I really like the shot.
I like it too.
I give it a pick.
How do we?
Yeah, you're right. That's better. And maybe I would even raise the white point. Like I want it to have a little more pop to it. But I love the way the wood is like radiating out the vein of the wood. It's almost like
Creature.
a starburst.
Okay.
Just being a total pain.
I wonder if some of these off-white pictures are a result of an uncalibrated monitor.
That's a really good question, Chris.
Could be.
I think that also, Chris, like Tony was saying, your eyes can adjust. Like, you know it's white when you look at this plate, and I think people have a hard time seeing color if they haven't really studied it. It can be a thing where once someone points it out to you, then you can say, oh yeah, their face is green. We see that in every single portrait show. Everyone's faces are green. And it just takes some time.
Can I steal control for a sec? I want to look at this picture.
Why?
I like that
because it's almost 5 o'clock?
They included a little bit of motion in it, a little bit of action, and it's really clean. The only thing I don't like is the light's too hard. A softer
like a
light would
flash.
help there. And then there was another shot that I thought looked great. Maybe I'm just into wine, but like what a perfect still life, right?
Yeah, I think that this is really beautiful. It almost looks like an old painting. Look at the blackberries, all of the specular highlights. You cut the apple, you put the knife in it. This cloth just added some softness, but also composition because you brought it around. Like, Jordan, excellent, really beautiful.
I'm giving it a pick, but when you deal with a reflective surface like glass, think about the reflections. It would be really nice to have a nice window reflection in it. The reflection we have there is just kind of
It's got a little window-ish.
random. Yeah, I'm thinking over along the left. Like imagine if this was like a nice sort of paned window.
That's very very advanced.
I wanted to give Jordan one thing to
One
work
thing to work on.
on. Okay, let's get out of here and go get some food ourselves.
Well, Chris, before we go, do you have one more question?
Yes, I've got one good question here. When you're in a restaurant and you want to do food photography, are there any rules or legalities about getting permission before you take pictures of not your own food?
Not that I know of.
There definitely could be. I've never heard of anybody pursuing this, but especially with carefully laid out dishes, there could be an argument that it is a work of art by the chef.
I can
And
see
if you were
that.
to profit from that, you might owe them a piece of it if they were to notice it and take you up on it. It's like if you photograph somebody and they have a tattoo and you sell that photo, the tattoo artist can sue the photographer because
I
that
can
is
see
a
that.
creation that they've made.
If you went to some super fancy restaurant by a very famous chef and took that picture and sold it as stock, then they could say, that's not stock. That's from my restaurant.
Yeah, you are selling their work in that
Yeah.
case. So yeah, that's a good question.
That was an interesting one.
But they're not going to complain if you throw it up on your Insta.
Okay. So next week, we're going to be looking at your best shots of 2019. Don't forget to get those ready. You can submit them as soon as our show is over. And yeah, also, you want your own portfolio? You want to look at your work and see what you need to improve on or what you need to shoot more of? You should try a Squarespace website. It's free for 14 days. No credit card needed. Go to squarespace.com/Chelsea and use the coupon code Chelsea to get 10% off of your purchase.
Links are in the description.
Yeah, thanks, Squarespace. Bye, Chris.
Good night. See you guys.
Bye,
Thanks.
Justin.
Bye.
Good night, all.
That is is all.
That is all.
Those were great pictures. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a big fan of food.